The holographic alert pulsed an angry red in Captain Sarah Chen's quarters, dragging her from a fitful sleep. She was moving before her eyes fully opened, muscle memory from countless drills taking over as she pulled on her uniform. The UES Vigilant didn't sound general quarters for routine matters. "Status report," she demanded, stepping onto the bridge exactly 90 seconds after the alert began. Her crew worked their stations with practiced efficiency, the soft blue glow of holographic displays casting shadows across focused faces. Lieutenant Marcus Wade, her sensor officer, spoke without looking up from his station. "Unknown contact at the edge of Kuiper Belt, Captain. It appeared approximately 6 minutes ago, moving at sublight speeds. Energy signature unlike anything in our database." Chen settled into her command chair, studying the main display. The contact was represented by a pulsing yellow icon, its trajectory marked by a dotted line. "Natural phenomenon." "Negative," Wade responded. "Structure is clearly artificial, approximately 600 meters in length. And Captain," he hesitated, "it's damage, picking up multiple hull breaches and radiation consistent with weapons fire." The bridge fell silent. In humanity's centuries of space exploration, they had found ruins, artifacts, and tantalizing hints of intelligent life. But never this, never an active vessel with clear signs of combat damage. First contact protocols were explicit. Observe, report, do not engage unless absolutely necessary. "Ma'am," Communications Officer Diana Young's voice cracked slightly. "We're receiving a signal." Chen's fingers tightened on her armrests. "What kind of signal?" "It's..." Young worked her controls. "It's a distress call. Universal format. Mathematical sequences that translate to a request for immediate assistance. There's more encoded in the signal, but it'll take time to decrypt." "Multiple new contacts." Wade's voice rose sharply. 3 vessels, emerging from what appears to be some form of FTL travel. Configuration unknown, but energy readings suggest significant weapons systems. The main display updated, showing 3 red icons pursuing the yellow one. The damaged vessel's speed was dropping, its erratic course suggesting failing systems. The pursuing ships moved with mechanical precision, their formation optimized for an inevitable kill. Chen felt the weight of command settle onto her shoulders. First contact protocols were clear. Humanity wasn't ready for interaction with advanced civilizations. They should observe, gather data, and retreat to Earth with their findings. But those protocols had never accounted for this scenario, watching sapient beings die when they had the power to intervene. "Tactical analysis," she ordered. Lieutenant Commander James Rodriguez, her tactical officer, responded immediately. The pursuing vessels mass approximately 300 meters each. Energy readings suggest their weapons technology exceeds our current capabilities by at least an order of magnitude. However, he smiled grimly, they don't appear to be running any form of stealth technology. Probably don't expect to find any opposition out here. "The damaged vessel?" Chen asked. "Life signs confirmed," Wade reported. "Multiple species based on biological readings. Several hundred individuals at least. Power systems critical and failing." Chen stood, her decision made. Protocol existed to protect humanity, but she hadn't joined the Space Force to hide while innocents died. "Battle stations. Bring all weapons online but do not target unless I give the order. Rodriguez, plot an intercept course that keeps us between the damaged vessel and its pursuers." Warning indicators flashed across multiple stations. Young spoke up from communications. "Captain, this directly contravenes First Contact Protocol Article 7. We're required to..." "Note your objection in the log, Lieutenant," Chen cut her off. "Then get to work on decoding the rest of that distress signal. I want to know who we're dealing with." The Vigilance engines hummed to life, the massive vessel moving with surprising grace for its size. They had been testing the latest advances in human technology at the solar system's edge. Quantum-enhanced sensors, dark energy weapons, and metamaterial armor. Now they would see how humanity's best measured up against whoever, or whatever, was out there. Unknown vessels now at 80,000 kilometers and closing, Wade reported. They've adjusted course to intercept. Put me on broadcast, all frequencies, Chen ordered. She waited for Young's nod. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the UES Vigilant. You are pursuing a damaged vessel in restricted space. Break off your attack and withdraw immediately. The response came in the form of energy signatures spiking across all three pursuing vessels. Their weapons were powering up. Well, Chen smiled tightly. That answers the question of their intentions. All hands, prepare for combat. Let's show them why humanity's space was marked as restricted. The Vigilant's own weapons charged, dark energy capacitors humming to life as targeting systems activated. They were about to make history, humanity's first interstellar battle. Protocol said they weren't ready for this moment. They were about to prove protocol wrong. The first shot from the pursuing vessels passed within meters of the Vigilant's hull, a lance of purple energy that made the ship's sensors scream in protest. Captain Chen watched the tactical display with narrowed eyes as data scrolled across it, the ship's eye analyzing the weapon's composition. Dark matter-based weaponry, Rodriguez reported, his voice tight. More advanced than our prototypes, but similar principles. They're testing our defenses, Captain. Show them we can do more than defend, Chen ordered. Target the lead vessel's propulsion systems, warning shot only. Let's see if they can be reasoned with. The Vigilant's main gun fired, a concentrated burst of dark energy that crossed the space between vessels almost instantly. It struck the lead pursuer's shields, causing them to flare brilliant blue. The alien vessel shuddered but maintained course. Their shields absorbed approximately 60% of our weapon's energy, Rodriguez said, surprise evident in his voice. But they felt that hit. They're adjusting formation. The damaged refugee vessel continued its desperate flight, but its engines were failing. Chen could see power fluctuations rippling through its systems. Without intervention, it would be caught within minutes. Lieutenant Young, any progress on that distress signal? Yes, Captain. It's... Young's eyes widened as the translation appeared on her screen. It's a refugee ship. They're carrying children, civilians, fleeing from something they called the Nexus. The pursuing vessels are automated hunters, designed to... She swallowed hard, to process organic life into computational resources. A chill ran through the bridge. They weren't just witnessing an attack. They were watching an attempted harvest of sentient beings. The hunter vessels split formation, trying to flank the Vigilant. Their movements were precise, calculated, suggesting artificial intelligence rather than living pilots. They fired again, this time a coordinated barrage that tested different sections of the human ship's defenses. Shields holding at 82%, Rodriguez reported. Our metamaterial armor is adapting to their attack pattern, but they're learning too. Each shot is more efficient than the last. Chen nodded grimly. They're not used to prey that fights back. Target all three vessels, full spread of quantum torpedoes. Let's see how well they adapt to human ingenuity. The Vigilant's torpedo tubes opened, launching a dozen projectiles that seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously. The hunter vessel's targeting systems struggled to track weapons that defied conventional physics, their defensive fire passing harmlessly through quantum ghosts, while real torpedoes slipped through their guard. Explosions blossomed across space as the torpedoes found their marks. One hunter vessel's shields collapsed completely, its hull cracking open to reveal crystalline structures that pulsed with alien energy. The other two immediately adjusted their tactics, their weapons becoming more focused, more lethal. Captain, Wade called out, the refugee vessel is hailing us directly. They're requesting immediate docking. Their life support is critical. Chen watched the battle data, mind racing. The hunter vessels were already adapting to their quantum torpedoes, and the Vigilant's shields were dropping faster now. These machines were learning, evolving their tactics with each exchange. A prolonged battle would favor their artificial precision. Clear docking bay 2, she ordered. Rodriguez, give me everything we have left in the weapon banks. Full barrage, all systems. Young, send a warning to Earth Command. Possible hostile contacts approaching the solar system. Wade, the moment that ship docks, I want our fastest course back to Earth plotted. The Vigilance weapons opened up, unleashing humanity's full arsenal against the Hunters. Dark energy beams, quantum torpedoes, and conventional antimatter warheads filled space with destruction. The Hunter vessels responded with their own barrage, their weapons now precisely calibrated to exploit weaknesses they had discovered in human shielding technology. Shields at 40%. Rodriguez shouted as the ship shuddered. 2 direct hits on Deck 5. Armor holding but strained. The refugee vessel limped into the docking bay, its massive hull barely fitting through the Vigilant's largest entrance. The moment docking clamps engaged, Chen gave the order. Get us out of here. Maximum thrust. Emergency jump as soon as we clear the Kuiper Belt's gravitational influence. The Vigilant's engines roared to life, pushing the massive ship into a desperate acceleration. The Hunter vessels pursued, their weapons still firing with mechanical precision. But they had been damaged by the human attack, their speed reduced just enough to matter. Jump calculations complete, Wade announced. We can initiate in 30 seconds. Shields failing. Rodriguez warned. Next hit will reach the hull. Chen watched the countdown, her expression carved from stone. They had won their first interstellar battle, saved hundreds of lives, and were about to make history by bringing alien refugees to Earth. But as the ship shuddered under another impact, she knew they had also painted a target on their entire species. Whatever this nexus was, it would not forget humanity's interference. Jump in 5. Wade began the final countdown. The Hunter vessels fired one last time, their energy weapons reaching for the Vigilant's vulnerable hull. 3, 2, 1. Reality twisted as the jump drive engaged, carrying humanity's first alien visitors toward Earth, and whatever consequences would follow their arrival. Emergency klaxons echoed through Earth's orbital defense platforms as the Vigilant emerged from its jump. The ship's hull bore scars from the battle, its shields depleted, but it had survived. Captain Chen stood in docking bay 2, staring up at the towering alien vessel that now resided within her ship. The refugee craft's hull seemed to pulse with a faint bioluminescence, its organic curves a stark contrast to human engineering. Their life support is stabilizing, Dr. Amanda Torres reported, checking readings on her medical tablet. The ship's chief medical officer had been the first to volunteer when Chen called for a first contact team. But I'm reading at least 6 distinct species in there, Captain. Some of their biological signatures are completely unlike anything we've encountered. Before Chen could respond, a section of the alien ship's hull rippled and dissolved, forming an opening. A figure emerged, humanoid but clearly not human. Its skin was translucent, showing flowing patterns of light beneath the surface. Behind it came others, some insectoid, others almost crystalline in appearance, all moving with the careful precision of those expecting hostility. The translucent being raised its hands in what Chen hoped was a universal gesture of peace. It spoke, its voice a melody of harmonics that made the air vibrate. Young, who had joined them in the bay, worked quickly with her translation matrix. They say they are the luminary, Yum translated, representatives of the collective of free worlds. The one speaking is Ambassador Veil of Starlight. The ambassador continued, and Young's translation followed. We bring grave warnings and a debt of gratitude we can never repay. Chen stepped forward. I'm Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth Ship Vigilant. We have medical teams standing by and warning sirens cut through the conversation. Wade's voice came over the intercom. Captain to the bridge immediately. Multiple jump signatures detected approaching the solar system. Energy patterns matched the Hunter vessels. The ambassador's patterns of light shifted to darker hues. The nexus follows. Young translated, the aliens' musical language taking on a discordant note. They never stop hunting. Once they acquire a target, they pursue it across galaxies. Chen was already moving. Dr. Torres, Coordinate with our guests for immediate medical needs. Young with me. She paused, looking back at the ambassador. We'll need to know everything about what's coming. On the bridge, the tactical display showed 5 hunter vessels approaching, their trajectories splitting to cover multiple attack vectors. They've adapted their jump drives to follow our signature, Rodriguez reported. These aren't the same ships we fought. They're larger, better armed. They share data. Ambassador Veil of Starlight explained, having followed them to the bridge. Young translated the alien's harmonic speech. Each encounter teaches the entire nexus. They will have analyzed your weapons, your defenses. The same tactics will not work twice. Chen watched the approaching ships, her mind racing. Humanity's first battle with alien life had been won through surprise and innovation. Now they faced an enemy that had learned from that encounter, that would be ready for human technology and tactics. Tell me about their primary directive, Chen said to the ambassador. These hunters, what drives them? They seek to convert all organic life into computational resources, came the translated response. They believe biological evolution is inefficient. Each world they take, each species they process, adds to their intelligence. But they follow patterns, Chen pressed, even evolved ones. They're still machines, operating on logic. An idea was forming, a desperate one. She turned to Rodriguez. Those solar observation platforms we were testing, the ones studying quantum fluctuations in the sun's corona, are they still in position? Rodriguez checked his console. Yes, but, Captain, you can't be suggesting. Plot a course directly through the corona, Chen ordered, and get me a secure line to those platforms. The bridge crew stared at her. Even the alien ambassador's light patterns shifted rapidly. Yum's translation came hesitantly. The corona's quantum interference will destroy both our ships. The radiation will be catastrophic, Chen finished. Unless we can use those observation platforms to create a quantum tunnel through the interference. We've been studying solar physics for centuries. Let's see how well the Nexus adapts to a star's worth of chaos. Understanding dawned on Rodriguez's face. The platform's quantum fields, synchronized with our shields. It's never been attempted at this scale, but theoretically, theory becomes practice today. Chen cut him off. Ambassador, your ship's hull, it's adaptive, responds to its environment. Yes, came the translated reply. A living metal that evolves to protect us. Chen smiled. Then it should work perfectly with what I have in mind. Lieutenant Young, get me Earth Command. Rodriguez, begin transmitting shield frequencies to our guests. Dr. Torres, she hit the intercom. Prepare all crews for extreme gravitational stress. As her crew rushed to implement her orders, Chen watched the hunter vessels approach. They moved with perfect coordination, their formation optimized by artificial intelligence far beyond human capability. But they were still bound by logic, by patterns. Sometimes survival required something else, the human capacity for illogical, impossible decisions. The Vigilance engines came to life, pushing the massive ship toward the sun's churning surface. Behind them, the hunter vessels adjusted course to follow, their artificial minds calculating trajectories and attack vectors. They didn't hesitate to pursue their prey into the corona. After all, their calculations showed it was suicide for the organic ships to enter such conditions. They were about to learn that humans had a long history of doing the impossible. The sun filled the Vigilance view screen, its surface a churning sea of plasma and magnetic storms. Heat warnings blared across every console as the ship plunged toward the corona. The refugee vessel following in perfect formation. Behind them, 5 hunter ships pursued with mechanical determination, their weapons holding fire as they calculated optimal attack vectors through the solar interference. Quantum platforms responding, Rodriguez reported, his fingers dancing across his console. Field synchronization at 70% and climbing. We'll only get one shot at this, Captain. Chen nodded, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. The plan was somewhere between brilliant and suicidal. Exactly the kind of thinking the logic-bound Nexus wouldn't expect. Status of our guests' shield integration. The living metal of their hull is learning, Wade said, wonder in his voice as he studied the sensor readings. It's not just adapting to our shield frequencies, it's improving them. The quantum resonance is stronger than our calculations predicted. Ambassador Veil of Starlight stood silently at the back of the bridge, patterns of light flowing beneath translucent skin. The alien's next words came through Young's translation. We begin to understand why the ancestors hid your species. Your minds work in ways ours do not. The ancestors? Chen asked, but another alarm cut off any response. They were entering the corona's outer layer. Shields at maximum. Rodriguez called out. Quantum platforms engaging. Now. Reality twisted around the two ships as precisely calibrated quantum fields interacted with the sun's natural fluctuations. A tunnel of relatively stable space formed through the chaos of the corona, maintained by the combined power of human technology and the refugees' living metal. The hunter vessels didn't hesitate to follow. Their artificial minds calculated the quantum tunnel's properties in microseconds, adjusting their shields to match the resonance pattern. But they didn't understand what Chen had already guessed. The tunnel wasn't meant to protect ships from the corona. It was meant to collapse. All power to forward shields. Chen ordered. Ambassador, tell your ship to do the same. Wade, activate the platform's secondary program on my mark. The hunter vessels were halfway through the tunnel when Chen gave the command. The quantum platforms suddenly shifted frequency, their carefully maintained fields shattering in a cascading failure. The tunnel collapsed, releasing the full fury of the sun's corona. The hunter vessel's shields, calibrated for the tunnel's quantum frequency, offered no protection against the raw plasma that engulfed them. Their hulls began to melt, artificial intelligence cores overloading as they tried to adapt to conditions their logic couldn't process. But the Vigilant and the refugee ship weren't unscathed. Warning screamed across every console as the ships burst through the corona's outer layer, their combined shields barely holding against the stellar fury. Hull temperature critical, Rodriguez shouted. Structural integrity failing on decks 3 through 7. Reroute all remaining power to structural integrity fields, Chen ordered. Status of the hunter vessels. Wade worked his sensors through the interference. 3 completely destroyed, 2 severely damaged, but he paused. Captain, they're still adapting. Their surviving systems are reconfiguring, using the solar plasma itself to regenerate. The ambassador's light patterns pulsed rapidly. The Nexus cannot be permanently destroyed, Young translated. Each loss teaches them, makes them stronger. We have bought time, nothing more. Chen watched the tactical display as the damaged hunter vessels began to repair themselves, drawing energy directly from the sun's plasma. The Nexus was learning, evolving, becoming even more dangerous. But they had proven something crucial. Human unpredictability could overcome machine logic, at least temporarily. Captain, Yum called out, Earth Command is demanding an update. They're detecting massive energy signatures from our battle. It won't be long before civilian sensors pick this up too. Chen knew what that meant. Humanity's isolation was about to end, ready or not. But first, they needed answers. She turned to the ambassador. You mentioned the ancestors, those who hid humanity. Tell me everything. The ambassador's patterns shifted to deeper, more solemn colors. The ancestors were the first civilization to achieve interstellar travel, came the translation. They found young species across the galaxy, guiding some, hiding others. Humanity was hidden because you were different. Your minds process reality in unique ways, combining logic and intuition in patterns the ancestors had never seen. They believed you might be either the galaxy's salvation or its doom. And now, Chen asked. Now the Nexus spreads, consuming all in its path. The collective's greatest minds cannot defeat its logic. But you? The ambassador's lights pulsed with something like hope. You just proved that human unpredictability might be the key to fighting them. If your people will join us. Outside, the hunter vessels continued to regenerate, growing stronger. Earth's sensors were alive with activity as humanity faced the end of its isolation. And Captain Sarah Chen stood on her bridge, knowing that every decision she made next would help shape not just humanity's future, but the fate of all organic life in the galaxy. The Vigilance Bridge hummed with tension as Captain Chen studied the tactical display. The two surviving hunter vessels had almost finished regenerating, their structures now augmented with solar plasma containment systems. Earth's orbital defense grid was activating, its weapons nowhere near powerful enough to handle what was coming. And somewhere out in the galaxy, the vast intelligence of the Nexus was processing everything it had learned about humanity. Earth Command is ordering us to return to orbit immediately, Yum reported. They're activating the planetary defense protocol. All civilian ships are being grounded. Chen watched the hunter vessels growing stronger, evolving beyond anything humanity had faced. The Nexus wasn't just learning from defeat, it was turning that knowledge into devastating new capabilities. How long until they're combat ready? 17 minutes, Wade answered. And Captain, their weapons are reconfiguring. They're developing countermeasures specifically designed for our shields. Ambassador Veil of Starlight's pattern swirled with dark colors. This is how it begins, Yum translated. The Nexus adapts, evolves, becomes impossible to defeat. We have seen it 1,000 times. Worlds fall, species die, and the machines grow stronger. Chen turned to the ambassador. You said the ancestors hid humanity because our minds work differently. Explain. The aliens' patterns shifted to analytical rhythms. Your species processes reality through both logic and intuition, order and chaos. You create art and mathematics, poetry and physics. The ancestors believed this duality made you dangerous, but it also makes you unique. The Nexus cannot predict you as it predicts others. Captain, Rodriguez interrupted. The hunter vessels are moving. They're taking up attack positions around Earth's orbital plane. Their weapons will have coverage of every major population center. Chen's mind raced. The Nexus was positioning itself to hold Earth hostage, using tactics it had probably employed on countless worlds. But Earth wasn't defenseless, and humanity wasn't alone. She opened a channel to Earth Command. This is Captain Chen. I know you're seeing the tactical data. I know you're scared, but I need you to listen. She took a deep breath. The protocols that kept us isolated were created to protect us, but they've also kept us from understanding our place in the galaxy. There are allies out there, civilizations fighting for survival against an enemy that cannot be defeated through conventional means. She gestured to her crew. Today we proved that human unpredictability, our ability to combine logic and intuition, can overcome even an artificial superintelligence, but only for a moment. The Nexus is already adapting, becoming stronger. The next time it attacks, it will be ready for whatever strategy we used before. Your point, Captain. Admiral Morrison's voice came through, tense but listening. We need to break protocol completely. Not just first contact guidelines, but everything. I'm proposing we share all of our technology, all of our knowledge with the collective. And in return, they share everything with us. Not a careful exchange of approved information, but a full merging of capabilities. The ambassador's patterns erupted in bright pulses. Such complete integration has never been attempted between species. Yum translated. The potential risks are less than the certainty of defeat if we stay divided. Chen finished. The Nexus wins because it learns faster than any single civilization can innovate. But together, human unpredictability combined with your living metal technology, our quantum physics with your biological engineering, we can keep surprising it, keep forcing it to adapt to things its logic can't predict. The hunter vessels were nearly ready, their weapons charged with solar plasma. But Chen wasn't done. Admiral, look at your tactical display. Those ships are preparing to attack Earth. They'll demand surrender, promise mercy, and then convert our entire species into computational resources. Unless we do something the Nexus can't possibly predict, trust each other completely. Silence filled the channel. Chen could almost see the Admiral wrestling with centuries of protocol, with humanity's careful plans for managed first contact. Finally, his voice returned. The defense grid is at your disposal, Captain. God help us all. Chen turned to the ambassador. Your ship's living metal can interface with our quantum technology. Can it do the same with Earth's defense grid? The aliens' patterns became almost blinding. Yes, such integration would be unprecedented, but perfect. Chen's fingers flew across her command console. Rodriguez, transmit our shield specifications to every defense platform. Wade, calculate firing solutions that incorporate both human and collective weapons technology. Young, get me a channel to every ship in the system. As her crew rushed to comply, Chen allowed herself a small smile. The Nexus thought in patterns, in logical progressions. It would expect Earth to either fight alone and die, or surrender and be consumed. It would never expect all of humanity to throw away centuries of isolation to join forces with aliens they'd just met. The hunter vessels raised their weapons, prepared to demonstrate their new power. Instead, they faced something unprecedented. A planet-wide defense grid merged with living alien metal, guided by human tactical systems that ignored optimal solutions in favor of creative ones. Earth's orbital platforms fired in patterns that defied machine logic, their weapons enhanced by alien biotechnology. The battle that followed would be studied for generations. The hunter vessels, for all their power, couldn't adapt to strategies that changed with human intuition rather than tactical logic. When they adjusted to one pattern of attack, they faced something completely different. Earth's defensive grid, augmented by collective technology, proved that humanity's greatest strength wasn't its weapons or shields. It was the willingness to trust, to adapt, to throw away the rulebook when survival required something more. Hours later, as the last hunter vessel fell into the sun's gravitational well, its systems too damaged to regenerate, Chen stood on her bridge watching Earth's first official alien diplomatic delegation arrive. Dozens of ships from the collective were emerging from jump points, bringing technology, knowledge, and hope. The Nexus will return, the ambassador warned. Pattern somber. It never truly stops. Good, Chen replied, because humanity is just getting started. And this time, we're not facing the galaxy alone. As she watched Earth's ships move to escort their new allies, Chen thought about protocols and rules, about careful plans and controlled first contact. Sometimes survival meant breaking all the rules. Sometimes the only way forward was to trust, to leap into the unknown with both hope and determination. The galaxy would never be the same, and neither would humanity.